It's the baddie versus the braid in the rematch only one person asked for. One's building a better future. The other is back from it. But who stands tall in the end? And it's the bald versus the forgettable in our main event. Hold on to your bladders and ladders, folks. This is NXT.
Support, no DQ.
Welcome everybody to What's NXT for May 29th, 2019. I am your host, the Rated R reviewer, Stephen Osborne, joined as always by the General Jerry Slaughter.
Good morning, wrestling fans.
Absolutely good morning. And this was a mediocre morning.
Yes.
This episode of NXT started really good. Astonishingly.
That shocked the shit out of me.
And just kind of fell flat.
Yeah.
It didn't careen into the abyss, but it fell flat. And we will get into all of that. What were your thoughts? Like, you know, I wasn't too impressed with this episode. It wasn't terrible by any means, but not impressive in the least by the time you get to the end of it. What did you think, Jerry?
I think for a go-home show, it was just kind of disappointing.
Yes, thank you. Go home. Last episode of NXT before NXT TakeOver 25, and this is what we got.
Well, maybe my expectations were set extremely high by the fact that Triple H more or less pulled almost an entire TakeOver show out of his ass this last time, using maybe one or two shows, which he kind of did with this one too, because he had to switch locale so quick from like San Jose to Connecticut and reroute a whole bunch of things, but for me, this whole evening was kind of underwhelming, but at the same time, the matches we did get did kind of set the tone for some more future stuff, which is great.
Okay, now based off the middle match of the night, we get 3 matches. I would say you probably enjoyed this show more than I did.
Yeah.
And that is going to be the difference maker, because we both enjoyed this opening bout, and it was Mia Yim versus Bianca Belair. I mildly enjoyed the first match.
Yeah.
This rematch, I was like, fuck. Bianca Belair is only going to be able to do so much. But you know what? This match was really good.
Yeah, it was a great women's match. It was a great women's exhibition match.
I think I have more notes for this match than I do for the other two combined as far as actual match.
Yeah. Well, we had a lot of great pitting predicaments. Mia Yim. A couple good strikes here and there. And we also got to still see the power out of Bianca Belair, which is always impressive. And the finish, kind of surprising. And I actually thoroughly enjoyed how like, turnabout was fair play on that one. So, but I'll let you break it down real quick.
Well, the first half of this match was non-remarkable.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily basic. It wasn't the same match that we saw last time. But the stuff they were doing is just, you know, the meat of the match.
Yeah.
Not to get you too excited. A few moves here and there that are a little bit wow, but nothing off the charts. My first note probably happens halfway through the match, because Belair does a vertical suplex, stalls it, and then does squats with Mia Yim on her shoulders. Does a couple of those before she drops it. And I'm like, you know what? That's interesting.
That's just her showing off her strength, and more power to her. Her husband can fly with the greatest of ease, and she can pretty much just lift people with absolutely no problem.
And then out of Mia Yim, we had one of those float over sunset bombs for a near fall. Belair comes running in to the corner. Yim's in the corner. She dodges out and puts Bianca's shoulder first into the post. And then she hits Eat Defeat on Bianca Belair, but Belair rolls outside. And so Mia chases her. Like, Belair's trying to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, Belair's done.
She starts going up the rampway, but Mia chases her, and she goes up top and brings her back. But Belair ends up executing that double chicken wing face buster, but she does it to the apron.
Yeah.
That was sick.
Mm-hmm. Near count out.
Yeah, she almost got a count out victory out of that. And then she brings her back in the ring. There's some more offense, and then she goes to do a power bomb or something out of a power bomb position. But Mia Yim fights out of it, and while she's coming down, she drags the hair whip down with her, and then pulls her in for an Eat Defeat across the knee. sort of a half code
Actually,
breaker.
it's the protect your neck.
Oh, okay, there you go. The protect your neck.
Mm-hmm.
That's my bad. She does that using the hair and got the 1, 2, 3.
That was actually, that's what I thought was pretty brilliant about the match. And I'm wondering if that means we're gonna get number 3 out of the mix, because it seems like third time's a charm, or at least third time's a go away thing, because Nikki Cross versus Bianca Belair, the third match that we got out of them, they even have a finish.
I tell you, halfway through the match, I thought we were going to get a third one anyway, because I thought they were going to both get counted out.
Yeah.
But that did not happen. I enjoyed this match. If you're going to watch one match from this show, I would recommend this one.
Mm-hmm.
After this, we get Velveteen Dream setting up a selfie stick.
Yes.
Turns on his phone and starts a promo from the end of a selfie stick. And then this promo kind of weaves into a video package, a montage for the match, the North American Championship match that he's having at TakeOver with Tyler Breeze. So it kind of builds up Tyler Breeze too, but the whole time the narration is Velveteen Dream.
Yeah.
It's promo narration. It's really good.
It's fantastic, because it's the Velveteen Dream promo, and B, like, you get Tyler Breeze's whole backstory and how sometimes you have to go back to regain your glory, which is what's going on with him, because back in NXT, Tyler Breeze, he was the shit. He was in the limelight, people loved him to pieces. Gets called up to SmackDown, has one hot feud with Ziggler, and then boom. He pretty much becomes like a comedic act and whatnot, just like Fandango.
Well, he was great. I think they were great in the backstage skits as the fashion police.
That's what I'm saying, but he became more of a comedy program than a wrestling program.
Well, he was really good at it. I mean, he's acting either way.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if people are enjoying it, like, don't be ashamed.
Well, that's sports entertainment for you. But people were starting to sleep on the fact that Breeze worked his ass off in the ring to get where he was at. And now he gets to come back and prove that's where he wants to be at, in the ring, not in some sort of backstage vignette running around like an idiot.
And not just in the ring, he wants to be North American champion.
Yeah, and a belt around the waist will actually help along with that. So yeah, I was all for this promo. I thought it was a great setup. Anybody who doesn't know, like, Tyler Breeze, for some reason, they got a better idea of, like, you know, who he is or what's going on with him. Because even then, like on SmackDown, he was just forgettable.
Yeah, so in this promo, Velveteen Dream is the shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the reason he is the shit is because he successfully, with the help of the editing team, the video editing team in NXT, he successfully cuts a promo for himself, for Tyler Breeze, and for the match.
Yes.
In maybe 90 seconds to 2 minutes.
So charismatic, it's frightening.
So good, man. But we have to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Up next, we get a video recap of Shayna Baszler, Jessamyn Duke, and Marina Shafir attacking Candice LeRae after her win, was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I think. And then this is going to lead into an interview with Shayna Baszler after a photo shoot. She's got Shafir and Duke behind her. And as if she didn't see him standing there, maybe the lights blocked it.
It was last week. It was on 22nd.
Okay,
yeah.
So last week. And so he basically asked her about Io Shirai attacking them with the kendo stick, and is she now worried about Io Shirai? And she says, duh, the kendo stick's not legal in a regular match. Like, I'm not worried about her whipping out a kendo stick on me. And for all she can tell, Io Shirai has no friends anymore. They've disposed of all of them, or have gone up to SmackDown, you know, whatever.
Yep.
And Baszler still has her friends. They're right there. And they're going to be right there ringside. And that's about it. What do you think about this?
I think at this point, I think they're building for Baszler to lose. But at the same time, we're getting that seed of doubt. Because usually Baszler doesn't even have to mention Shafir and Duke even being incorporated in a match in any way, shape, or form. She usually goes out there and kicks ass on her own. But the fact that she's saying that those two will be out there with her, that means that's planting the seed down in people's mind and thinking it's like, okay, Baszler's afraid she's going to lose to EO. Now she's going to have those two out there with her.
So I double checked real quick, and yes, I predicted Io Shirai to win the match at TakeOver. I was the only one of the three of us, and so now you're agreeing with me.
Oh no, I'm still going with Baszler, but I think Duke Shafir will probably get thrown out early in the match at TakeOver.
That's a possibility. So
or Regal announced beforehand that they're banned from ringside.
Yeah. So up next is our second match of the night. We've got Kushida in his third match in like 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Amazing. Versus Drew Gulak. And this was a clinic. Yeah. If you are an old school wrestling fan, like chain wrestling, like the warm build up to a good wrestling match, you know, the first 2 or 3 minutes of a 15-minute match, or the first 5 minutes of a 20-minute match. This is the match for you. Not a lot of excitement, but a lot of interesting like reversals and chain wrestling. And then it does this for most of the match, and then at the end they finally start taking a few bumps, and then boom, it's over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Well, we're going to cut through crap here. He's chanting boring at the screen.
Yeah. Out loud, like no joke. I'm not being facetious here. I was chanting boring at my screen.
He was also saying that the NXT crowd at Full Sail is a lot more, we're going to say, respectable.
Yeah. If this had been a WWE show, like Chicago,
yeah,
the crowd would be honest and would have been chanting boring long before I started. Because to me, and I like a good wrestling match, and I like a good story. There's no story here. It was just a bunch of chain wrestling, and wasn't even respect, like nothing. Like it was. Oh God, I was.
Well, with me, like, and I was explaining this to him.
Words.
For me, it's always not exactly the holds that are being put on, but the way the holds are being put on, the innovative ways, the roll throughs or maybe reversals into them. Because the big discussion in this match became, when did the armbar become more become more over, I guess you could say, than the ankle lock.
Yeah, so in what you were saying, like, I agree that some of the reversals are interesting. Yeah. And some of the ways that they put on the move. Like, there was a leg lock that Gulak put on to Kushida. Yeah. And just, it wasn't the lock itself, but it was the roll through, or where he took Kushida with him and then put him in the position to put the lock on, that was interesting. Yeah. But to me, still not all that fucking entertaining. Yeah. And the one entertaining one, they were trading between an arm bar and an ankle lock. Don't ask me how. Don't fucking ask me how.
They were just spitting into the shit.
Again, very interesting how they maneuver between these, and it looks so fluid. But they were trading between an arm bar and an ankle lock, and I found myself watching the arm bar like, oh, it's only a matter of moments before he taps, he better get to the fucking ropes. And then it goes into the ankle lock, and I'm thinking, how long is it going to be before he gets to the ropes? Yeah. And that's weird to me, because back when I started watching wrestling as an early teenager, back in the Attitude Era, you had Ken Shamrock with the ankle lock, and then eventually it was Kurt Angle and the ankle lock. And the ankle lock was strong. Mm-hmm. Back then, you didn't see a lot of people not tap out to the ankle lock. And the armbar was just meh. It was another move. People put it on all the time. It was nobody's finisher. Armbar. And then, somewhere around the time Alberto Del Rio came in, the armbar got very protected. Mm-hmm. And he was putting it on as his finisher. And everybody eventually
effectively tapped. Yes.
The only way that they tried, there wasn't a lot of scurrying to the ropes. The only way they tried to block it would be to grab their arms to keep the extension from happening, but eventually you'd get the extension and the tap. And then transition that into Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch. Of course, Becky's is a different version of the armbar, but still. Now the armbar is protected, and I can't remember, other than a few matches of Kurt Angle's during his farewell tour, I can't remember the last time I saw anybody tap out to the ankle lock.
And even then, like, it was more like you said, a leg bar than anything afterwards, because you'd always have to grapevine it.
I paused the show like twice during the entirety of the 52 minutes or whatever it was. And this was one of them. And this was the most interesting part of the match to me, was our discussion about the armbar versus the ankle lock. Somewhere in this match, Kushida hits a flatliner and then does this, albeit incredible, roll-up. He puts him in like a Steiner recliner, but then rolls Drew Gulak's head forward and then pins him, and then goes back into the pin to push Gulak, what do they call it, stacked?
Yeah.
And 1, 2, 3. And it's just like, what? That match was just getting started and it's over. And we had some after-match argument. It looks like this is setting up for another match.
Probably a submission match, because Gulak was calling Kushida a coward for pinning him, or like more or less striking him and not having him tap out. Because like Kushida's like, this is the only tap that matters, not this. This.
I would be interested in a second match to see if they can successfully finish a good match.
Yeah.
An entertaining match. Create an entertaining match and finish it. Anyway.
I'm still underwhelmed by Kushida.
After this, we have some follow-up from the earlier interview with Shayna Baszler. This is an interview with Io Shirai. I believe it was actually Kathy Kelly doing it.
Yep.
Somebody off camera. And Io Shirai's talking about she doesn't need a kendo stick. She's going to beat Shayna Baszler by herself. And then Candice LeRae interjects. Comes in, says she hadn't gotten a chance to thank her for saving her from the three-way beatdown last week.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted her to know that she's in her corner. If she needs her, if Io Shirai needs her, that she'll be in her corner. And she says to Kathy Kelly, and you can tell Shayna Baszler that. So we may see Candice LeRae in her corner from the start of the match come Saturday at TakeOver.
This can go one of two ways, which is awesome with Candice LeRae. She could either be setting up to take out Io Shirai, and because, like, after if Io Shirai wins and Baszler drops belt to Io Shirai, that sets up for LeRae versus Shirai, and possibly make Shirai even a transitional champion so she can move up with the rest of the Kabuki Warriors. Or Baszler wins, and then, even then we have Candice LeRae waiting in the wings to try to take out Shayna Baszler.
Or maybe Candice LeRae causes Io Shirai the victory, and that just sets up a mid-card feud between them while Baszler moves on. Could go a number of different ways.
I don't see Baszler laying down the belt, because if anything, Duke and Shafir both claim to it, even though they have not won a single fucking match since they've been
I just think with the ratings tanking, and a lot of the reason for it being people realize they can no longer see, I know you don't want me to say it, Ronda Rousey on Raw, I think Shayna Baszler gets called up very soon, and I think they're just setting up for her to drop the title.
It's possible.
Anyway,
we can't have it vacated because we've already had that once this month.
After this, we get the rundown for NXT TakeOver 25, and I'll go ahead and give it to you. We've got the Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way Ladder Match with the Forgotten Sons, Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, the Undisputed Era's O'Reilly and Fish, and who's the fourth team? The Street Profits.
Yes.
Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins.
Yes.
We've got the North American Championship title match.
Yeah.
And that is Velveteen Dream versus Tyler Breeze. We've got Roderick Strong versus
Matt Riddle.
And we have, of course, as we just said, Shayna Baszler versus Io Shirai for the NXT Women's Championship. And for the NXT Men's Championship, Gargano versus Cole. Adam Cole.
Number 2.
So, after that, one more thing before the main event is a video package for Johnny Gargano versus Adam Cole, because we didn't have Johnny Gargano on this episode, and it's the go-home episode. They got to hype up the main event somehow, and that's what we got. And it's NXT It was a great promo.
Yeah, that's all you
Great
really
video
need to know.
package.
You'll see that the Takeover show, it's nothing you haven't seen before. A whole bunch of Gargano going around his belt, me fans throwing baseballs. Champion shit.
And now we are on to the main event. We've got Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch versus the Forgotten Sons. That's Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake with Jackson Ryker on the outside. My first note of this match is Jackson Ryker finally getting himself ejected from the match.
Yep. Didn't take long at all.
He trips up, I don't know, I think it was Lorcan. But
They're bald. They're the same.
he trips him up, as he's coming off the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
And just pauses him a little bit. But the ref saw it, and the ref's like, you know what? Finally, you're out of here. So Jackson Ryker takes off. But when he gets to the top of the ramp to the stage, he starts getting the shit beat out of him by the Street Profits. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But this is basically where the match ends. And I don't have any notes for the beginning of this match because it was only like 2 or 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much. I do want to note that I think it was Danny Burch did a drop kick, a shotgun drop kick onto, let's say, Cutler.
It was Cutler. No, it was Blake.
At the very beginning of the match.
Because I remember he used to wear that face mask thing. And
yeah, it was straight out of the gate. First move of the match. And after he hits the drop kick, for some reason Blake does a 180 and ends up going face first into the middle turnbuckle. And I'm like, that is so contrived, it's ridiculous.
I was about to say, they had to do something that looked impactful because the match didn't last long at all.
How on earth does he use his dropkick to force him to turn around? I guess it's better than going the back of your head first into the turnbuckle, but still, it's contrived. Yeah. Anyway, it's the only real note I have of the match. That's the only thing I remember, but not for the best of reasons. So after the attack on the stage, the Street Profits come down and they interject themselves in the match, and Burch and Lorcan and the Street Profits end up taking out Cutler and Blake. They send them to the outside, and then they stare down in the ring. And then the fight breaks out.
Yep.
But then the Forgotten Sons come back, and they've got steel chairs, and that evens things out, and they take everybody out. And so they're laying while Cutler and Blake are in the ring, kind of saluting to Jackson Ryker, who's now back up on the stage, but immediately gets attacked by Adam Cole and Roderick Strong. He gets laid out, and as the rest of the Forgotten Sons, Cutler and Blake, try to get out of the ring and go to rescue him, they get attacked by Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish.
Seemingly out of the audience on both sides.
Yeah. And so they get taken out, and then Cole and Roderick Strong come down, and basically the Undisputed Era lays out everybody. But then they notice that Jackson Ryker is on the stage, and he's getting back up. So, wait.
Adam Cole.
Before that, I want to mention 2 moves.
Okay.
Because we had a super kick and a high knee from Adam Cole and Roderick Strong, respectively, to Blake. And then a high-low from Fish and O'Reilly to Cutler.
Yeah.
So that lays them out in the ring. Then they notice, again, like I said, they notice that Jackson Ryker is getting up. So they get out of the ring, and they grab a ladder from underneath the ring. And all 4 of them throw it up on their shoulders. You got a 4-man battering ram. They take up off the ramp to the stage, and as soon as Ryker gets up and turns around, boom, right in the fucking face. And he flies a good 1.5 feet backwards. Like, he took this bump. Mm-hmm. And whoa. Mm-hmm. I'd be surprised if he wasn't concussed after that shit. But then somehow he starts getting up. So they take the ladder and they drop it across his back. Then they set it up and they pose. And then Adam Cole says some shit. And that's undisputed.
Pretty much tells Riddle and Gargano, this is more or less going to be you by the end of the takeover.
There really wasn't a match here. This was all about ending with first the Forgotten Sons laying everybody out, and then the Undisputed Era coming out and showing, no, we have the numbers game.
Yeah, this is pretty much hyping the first match that's going to be on TakeOver, And the last match that's going to be on TakeOver.
Well, this is hyping 3 out of the 5 matches of TakeOver.
Yeah,
basically.
They actually did a good job with that, at least.
So...
That's true, because they did hype it without Riddle being there, too.
Support, no DQ.
That brings us to the end of the main event. And here on What's NXT, we like to rate the main event using the General's 5-star rating system. And you get to go first as always, Jerry. Where do you rate this main event? Now, we're including the match and the aftermatch and the posing and all the bullshit. It's got to be something else more than just the 3 or 4 minute match that we got.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's all of it inclusive. I still don't... Where do you rate this?
I'm going to go middle of the road, and I'm going to say 3. Because I was actually really hoping for the hard-hitting match between the Forgotten Sons and Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. I know it wasn't going to be anything spectacular, but since they do a lot of great tag team maneuvers, at least the Forgotten Sons do, and you get a lot of really cool strikes and headbutts and whatnot out of Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, I was actually really hoping for a match, but we didn't get that. You called it within like not even 2 minutes that this is going to boil down to a melee and we weren't going to have a really good finish at all. And we didn't. We got run-ins from the Street Profits. We got run-ins from the Undisputed Era. But it all is setting up towards TakeOver, so I couldn't really be mad about that. And it was effectively done. But overall, with the show itself, I felt still kind of underwhelmed. So I had to just keep it mediocre. I kept it at 3.
Well, for me, the few minutes that we got of this match was extremely middle of the road. For me, middle of the road is 2.5.
Yeah.
And the only thing redeeming about any of this main event was the 3 moves towards the end. The super kick and high knee from Adam Cole and Roderick Strong, and the high-low that took out Cutler and Blake. And then that fucking 4-person battering ram into Jackson Riker's face. Wow, that was cool as fuck, man. And they got the perfect angle. Because going up the ramp, they had him from the rear, I believe. But once it went to hit him, they caught an angle from the side, and you just saw Jackson Riker's feet get swept up.
Triple H probably raised his arms in victory
for that. Yeah. I will go up to 2 3/4. But no higher. This deserves no better, especially for a go-home show main event. But I really wish we could have rated the first match.
I think this is actually set up for it to be more than just a ladder match. I think it's going to be a TLC match. I think we're actually going to see the tables, ladders, and chairs come out on it.
Well, the fact is, all it has to be is a ladders match, and if you want to use tables or ladders or chairs or whatever,
there's going to be a lot more screaming of tables, ladders, and chairs, oh my, mamma mia, and whatnot from Mauro Ranallo.
I think the only real difference between a TLC match and a ladders match is that in a TLC match, they have extra tables and chairs available, like strewn
right there,
side,
versus having to pull them all out from under the ring.
You'll even have tables and chairs, or ladders and tables set up next to the rampway leading up to the ring that you can just grab and take with you. So, yeah, I think that's the only difference. Otherwise, everything's legal in a ladder match. It's just the point is to climb the ladder and get the title. In this case, titles. But what's crazy to me is that last week, when we knew we were getting Mia Yim versus Bianca Belair in the rematch, I was hoping to God it was not going to be the main event.
Yeah.
I stand corrected. I wish now that had been the main event. I wish we could have rated that. It definitely would have gotten 3 or better.
Yeah, it would have. Because that kind of threw us.
Yeah. But it is what it is. You get what you get. Again, not the worst episode or anything like that. Nothing crazy. It's just not the best, especially for a go-home episode. So, that is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That brings us to the end of this episode of What's NXT. Thank you for joining us. Please join us tomorrow. We will be doing the NXT party for episode number, 45?
45.
Of NXT UK. I'm not positive who we are going to have on the screen. I think it's going to be Colin and Chris, the dynamic duo.
Colin had to bow out of Noah's show earlier, so he may have to bow out.
So it may just be Chris, it may be Chris and somebody else. It may be Colin and Chris. We don't know at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. But if you would like to join us on the big screen for a future episode of the NXT Party and help us review a future episode of NXT UK, come have a spot of NXT with us. You can find me on Twitter. Go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's STEFAN. If you just want to find me on Twitter, it's at Stefan R. Osborne, OSBORNE. As always, the R stands for restricted. You can also find the gentleman on Twitter
at NoDQ General, and also on my Facebook group Armbar, all capital, ARMBAR, exclamation point. I swear to God, your voice gets higher every fucking time you do that. Just join up. If you're going to be active, definitely, we'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on anything and everything wrestling. And just find either Stephen or I or any member of NoDQ NXT, and we'll go ahead and get you in there.
Yep, that's how you find us on Facebook. Don't add us as friends. We don't really do that. The spoilers stay off of Facebook. Add us on Twitter. And if you want me to follow you back on Twitter, just send me a DM and say, hey, follow me back. And I will. Otherwise, I don't get on Twitter a lot because I'm usually behind a little bit on wrestling, so I end up staying off of Twitter because I don't want to get spoiled on anything. After AEW, I didn't get to watch it for a couple of days, and I stayed off of all of social media for 2 days straight. That was difficult.
I bet.
And one piece of the show got spoiled for me, and if you haven't seen it yet, I'm not going to tell you what it is because it kind of sucked a little bit. But at the same time, it was still an awesome show. And I give it to the tag team match.
Yep.
For the AAA titles. I think that was match of the night. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. This is NXT.
Yeah, this is NXT. We're not Sami Zayn, okay? We're not going to be talking about them.
But if you like our video, click the like button that is underneath me. And if you like all of our videos, you should probably click the subscribe button that's underneath Jerry.
Right here. I saw it the other day.
Yeah, and find us on Aftermatch Wrestling on YouTube. That is our channel. That's where these videos go first, sometimes like half a day early. And they're in HD on Aftermatch. That's all one word, AFTERMATCH, Aftermatch Wrestling.
I think it's that Rift Aronson guy that keeps on bogging down our videos.
I think we are up to 80 subscribers. We are on our way to 100. At 100 subscribers, we are going to start doing this show, What's NXT Live. That also means that our review shows for NXT takeovers will likely go live as well, as they are NXT shows. Maybe, maybe not. We shall see. But in the meantime, I think that's all our plugs.
That's all the plugs. You nailed it.
Fucking amazing. So if you are subscribed to Aftermatch Wrestling, click the share button. Share us with your friends, anybody you know that likes to watch wrestling, especially if they like to watch NXT, especially if they like to watch NXT UK, and maybe would want to do a review with us someday. That would be awesome. In the meantime, for the General Jerry Slaughter, I am the Wizard of No DQ, Stefan Osborne. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you NXT time.